Hello and welcome to episode 36 of the BTF podcast. That's the Back to Football podcast, the number one podcast for people who probably should talk about something other than football. Now, what's going on? This isn't our usual setup. We're coming at you live on Zoom for the first time ever, and I'm going to introduce who I'm joined by from, as I see it on the Zoom broadcast here. We've got bottom right, Greg. How are you?
I'm good.
We've also got Levi bottom left here.
Yes, Dan. Day 3 in quarantine.
It's going well.
Someone
mad.
Someone had to say it.
And then my top left here, I've got Mr. John Miller. John, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Doing well.
Right. Isolated, yes.
I'm all isolated.
Some sound issues there, but yeah, look, it's
gonna be a good episode.
It's gonna be this is very much a testing episode, because obviously a new setup for us. The world has gone crazy. I mean, since our last show, so BTF 35, we talked about coronavirus a little bit. I feel like back then it didn't quite seem like it was the big deal that it really is now, and it's taken over the nation since.
Was that a week ago?
It was a week ago.
That was a week ago.
The worst thing is, it was last week Thursday, and I just think everything exploded last week Thursday, and the whole world went mad, and everything started going into shutdown.
It was literally
really did,
the fastest going out of date of a podcast episode ever. I think we recorded on Tuesday. And then everything, like you say, everything kicked off on Thursday. So it went live on Wednesday. Everything kicked off on Thursday. It's affected so far, I think, everyone in the world.
Yeah.
Every company seems to have, be closing down. Or, I mean, sport. We're a sports podcast, and sport is basically cancelled at the moment. I mean, what were your thoughts on that? First of all, I mean, we had. Which league shut down first? Obviously, the Italian league, the French league,
and the Spanish,
Spanish league.
Yeah, and then obviously
someone's got to have to put a name on it now.
Yeah, no, Italy, the French league went as well, and then there was just masses of calls for the Premier League to go as well, and obviously subsequently it did, which was unfortunate.
Yeah,
I had to get my last fix of sport. Somehow. So over the weekend, we just made an impulsive decision to head down to Kempton Park and watch the horse racing. Because I wish needed some little bit of adrenaline rush, just that little bit of a roar of a crowd. So went down to Kempton, and it was a good little day out.
Do you have any winners?
Plenty of winners. 5 out of 8, actually.
That's all right. That is,
but not a bad one at all.
Oh, John's gone.
Don't know what's he done. There he is.
I had to leave, but I'm back.
He's back. Oh, brilliant. Oh, damn. Yeah, no, it's really sad. All the sporting, obviously the Euros, we've just heard is postponed to next year. The Premier League, as you mentioned, Levi, they're saying, I think they're still holding out until the 4th of April. It's not looking likely with everything that will be, they'll stick to that.
Do we think
uncertain?
Do we think even with special measures, say for example, the players are put in special sort of measures? I know it's probably unrealistic and quite selfish to think, but if the players are put in special measures, they almost isolated for 2 weeks, made sure they all got tested as a collective, and then games are to take place behind closed doors. Would that be completely ludicrous to suggest?
I think that the circumstances and the situation around it has changed so much that anything that could potentially spread the virus is now seen as irresponsible. It isn't a case of things can go on if you're not linked to it. We're in a case where we are self-isolating, even if we are, like the 4 of us are self-isolating, we're not even a risk group. It is just our responsibility now to self-isolate and stop that. So sport events, really, the economic side of it, there's a case for, it needs to carry on, but really we're beyond that now. We're talking social health, things like that. It's irresponsible for anything to carry on.
Yeah, and I think although we are obviously a sports podcast, I think it puts things into perspective when things like this do happen, and you have to realise probably what's more important at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. Health.
Yeah, agree.
The thing is, as well, the worrying is, what's his name? Rugani. He got it, the Juventus defender. He had it, but he was a carrier. He didn't display any symptoms. He didn't struggle with any of it. So, you know, these players, they can have it, but not know. So, no one's safe. As Dan said, no one's safe. Everyone's affected.
How does that even work? Like, how would you know that you're a carrier or you've got it if you're not displaying any symptoms? Because Idris Elba had the same thing. Like, how does it manifest itself?
I mean, it's a sticky situation of, you know, the elite get tested even though they don't have symptoms, I suppose. I mean, if you're in a position of like that where you can, you know, not jump to a front of a line, I'm not saying that, but you can be tested even though
They've probably got private healthcare.
Right, this is what I'm saying. Yeah, if you're lucky enough to be tested and not display symptoms, then that's how it goes.
I mean, there's every chance that one of us has probably got it, and we just don't know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past me with my luck.
I mean, one thing that's interesting about this is that probably in my lifetime, the most significant news item or the most significant thing that's happened in the news was 9/11. We would have all been at different ages through that, but obviously as a result of 9/11, so many things in the world changed. You know, the way we fly, the way security checks work. Obviously, there's a lot of very bad kind of xenophobic side effects of that as well, the way people treat each other. I think we can be sure that out of this pandemic, there will be a lot of changes to the world. I mean, even on a personal basis, the way that we're starting to work now, working from home, processes with that, even us doing this podcast on Zoom right now, it wouldn't have happened without this thing happening. And it takes events like this in history to change processes and the way things work. World War II was a similar example. There was a lot of technological kind of byproducts of the Second World War, because actually in these horrific historical moments where everything is just up in the air, it's actually these are the things that create change in the world. And I think it's undeniable though that is interesting. You can't deny that's not interesting. Levi, sorry, you go.
Yeah, no, the one comfort I have, just off what you said about obviously like technological advancements. Obviously, we've had pandemics before in the past with the Spanish flu. So obviously that wiped out a substantial part of society. So God knows what it would have been like to live through that time. We're at a time in our lives, I would say, that this is probably the best dealt with pandemic that we've ever been able to experience. So it's quite interesting to show how far we've actually come, but also how far we've got to go in terms of being able to deal with these sorts of things. Because in reality, when's the next one almost? Because once this one potentially, if it does blow over, when's the next one? And will we be equipped to deal with it then? I don't think we can ever be ready to deal with it at all.
John, thoughts?
I'm just taking on for what you said, Levi. I mean, blow over, what does the end look like? How does this blow over? When they get a vaccine?
When I can flick on my TV and watch Sky Sports again.
Yeah. I want Brexit talk back on the news. I'm bored of this. I want to hear about Brexit.
That's the thing, though. You can't sign a peace treaty with coronavirus.
A virus. No.
It's out of order, mate. It doesn't listen.
Law unto itself. John?
Yeah. Oh, I missed that. What did you say?
Dead air.
No, it's we'll carry on from that point, but
just make your point, John.
No, but you're right though. Where does this end? What is a logical kind of, at what point do we say, right, that is finished? Because presumably this is now a virus that will exist forever. So this is something that will exist forever, and it will be a case of people, presuming that they can find a vaccine for it. It would be a case of people becoming vaccinated to it, and us just coping with this existing forever now.
I'll tell you what is the quite scary thought is because it's obviously such a new, obviously, disease. Obviously, none of us are health experts, but because it is such a new disease, no one knows
yourself, Levi.
how. No one knows how best to deal with it. So I've seen, I don't know whether they're conspiracies, but I've seen a few news stories that are quite concerning regarding the use of ibuprofen with having the coronavirus. If you take it, it can have quite adverse effects on the human body in terms of the symptoms almost worsen if you take ibuprofen. So there's a lot of almost misinformation out there, or lack of information on how to deal with it. And if it does become something that is there for a substantial period of time, we probably do need to do a lot of work in being able to understand diseases, viruses, and pandemics in the future.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a good point. Yeah, I do think that in to the opposite side of that, you could see it as misinformation, but really, this is really very, very new to humanity, and even the top scientists. It's a lot of predictions. People don't really know what this is, and that is one of the terrifying things, is we don't know how to deal with this, because it's like nothing we've ever seen before. Like you say about ibuprofen, it could have negative impacts, but really no one knows.
So ibuprofen's an anti-inflammatory. I think that was the significant.
Yeah.
That's the different. Yeah.
The one thing as well that's really concerning as well. In 2019, I distinctly remember this. I read an article from the World Health Organization, and it outlined why.
Of course you did.
No, honestly.
Of course you did.
No, honestly,
scientist.
No. Honestly, no. I've read it. It was a news story about it. It was a news story about the World Health Organization suggesting in 2019 that we were not ready for a pandemic or a virus to break out. And obviously, it doesn't really take a lot to be able to predict that. But the fact that it happened in such close succession, there's got to be some conspiracies out there on what's going on behind closed doors. But
there's a lot.
Hey, I'm not here to talk about that.
No,
conspiracy
there's a lot.
theory.
Yeah, I've been keeping my as the conspiracy egg of the show. I've been keeping my ear to the ground on that, and maybe not appropriate time to talk about it now, but give it 6 months, 9 months, see where we are, and we'll dig into a few of them on the show.
There's definitely a few flying about already. We should, I think, because basically every week, probably for the next couple of months, we're going to be able to talk about coronavirus, and it's changing. The situation is changing literally hourly at the moment. Whatever we say on this is probably going to be out of date by tomorrow. So we probably should go back to football, as we do every week here on the Back to Football podcast. Let's talk about the Euros, who wins and who loses out of this situation with the delaying of a year. I'm going to open it up with a suggestion of Cristiano Ronaldo. He's no spring chicken. If he was, he'd be sold out in supermarkets, and we'll see. He'll be a year older by the time the tournament rolls around. Does that? Is that something that's not going to benefit him very well? Great.
Yeah, I don't.
I'll let John.
Yeah, John's got one.
No, I was going to say, I don't think. I mean, talking about Cristiano himself. I mean, although he's no spring chicken, he is a supreme athlete, and I don't think another year will have too much of an impact on him. But that's just my opinion. I think there's definitely a few other players who probably will miss it. Maybe a few that are older, but also there might be a few that that could have missed it for your injury that will get a chance to get back fit, get back training, and they'll make it. So it's going to swing a balance.
Most completely agree with John.
And looking at the other side of that, the young players that wouldn't have got a chance this year, but next season could have a brilliant season and then play. You look at older players, though. Robert Lewandowski is on the prime form of his life, doing brilliantly. Probably would have done really well. I don't know if Poland qualified or not. You might have to fact check me on that. but he would have really done very well. For me, the worst sacrifice of the Euros being cancelled for a year is that Gareth Southgate is safe for another year. He won't be found out for the absolute fraud that he is.
Whoa.
It's a shame, but, circumstances around it have dictated that he is sitting in that office for another year, loving life, collecting those paychecks.
Poland are qualified as well. They were
in Group E.
Yeah, E3.
That's been cancelled.
Yeah, so are they going to stick with the same groupings then, I guess?
I don't see why not.
Because obviously
seedings won't change, will they?
Some teams have still got to qualify. I do think one of the teams that will potentially do quite well out of this is Norway, who's obviously got Erling Haaland is going to be a year older. Odegaard as well. So Odegaard most likely going to be playing for Real Madrid, back with Real Madrid next season.
I have a really good story. I've met him actually.
Odegaard. Where did you meet him?
Yeah, I've met him. So I was working at a restaurant. It was a hotel and restaurant and spa, and at the time I think it would have been under 18s. He was playing against the England under 18s, and they stayed at our hotel. So they ate with us. They the whole team, really nice guys, and I think we thrashed them like 7-0. So it was even better. They were really, really happy, really got happy-go-lucky before, and then they played the match and they came back and there was a real somber mood in the room.
Have you checked? Have you checked to see whether Haaland was in that team as well?
I'm not actually. No, that's worth looking at.
What year would it have been? I'll do some fact checking.
It would have been 2015 or 2016.
Okay, you guys chat.
My GCSEs.
You guys chat while I fact check.
I'll probably say the winners and losers. I have to agree with John. I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo will be too phased by it. He's obviously quite a supreme athlete, as John's already highlighted, and I think he would be just fine. I would also say England are massive winners in this delay. A lot of injury issues. Obviously, Rashford with his back issue. Harry Kane with every question whether he was going to be fit or not. I think obviously having them for an extra year, when probably a season under their belt, would benefit England really, really well, because I was almost prepared for quite a dire tournament and another typical England display. But now I'm quite optimistic being given a year. But I'm quite interested, obviously, to see what will actually happen to the Euros as a whole. Will they still keep the same structure that they were proposing in terms of doing it over 12 countries?
Yeah, I hope so. You go on.
I don't know if is that the most sensible thing to do? Will they be looking at alternative arrangements for that tournament?
Definitely, that's the thing. Will everyone, however long this goes on for, and the financial repercussions, will they be brave enough to have something that is intercontinental? Will they want to keep it to a certain nation, certain group, that kind of thing? It will be such a shame, because I think as a nation, we were really looking forward to the prospect of having, the semi-finals and the final at Wembley?
I believe so.
Yep.
That we were going to host, and now it's not looking likely. Well, it isn't likely, but next year, we'll revisit and we'll see if the UEFA are brave enough, or if that's even worth thinking about at this time.
True. Okay, 6-1, England under 21s versus Norway under 21s. Let's go. Moment of truth here. I've got the team.
Did I meet Haaland?
He was not in the squad, but they did have
too young, maybe.
El Yanassi was on the bench, who's one of their big players now. Sorloth, I think he plays in Bundesliga somewhere. But yeah, no Erling Haaland in that team. But the England team back then, let's go through that one. You had Gunn in goal, Callum Chambers,
Angus,
House, someone called House, Hause.
Oh yeah, Wolves. Courtney House.
There we go. Courtney with a K. Matt Targett, who had a good season at Fulham back in our last promotion. Nathan Redmond was in there. Shabala, Ward-Prowse, Loftus-Cheek, and Marcus Rashford up front got a hat-trick. So yeah, it is very interesting when you see the players that don't make it from under 21 level to senior level.
Yeah.
Generally,
Do you remember that I think in like 2003, 4? John, you might remember this. They did like a team of the future.
yes.
I don't think any of the players. It was like the starting 11 for England that's going to win us a World Cup, and like none of them. They all play in like second division, like Swansea, Wigan.
I can pull this.
It's worth looking up if you can. Yeah, Dan, if you can pull it up.
Yeah. To see who was there. I can't really remember who they. That's what I'm saying. They've gone into obscurity. Can't even remember.
Here we go. Can you guys see that?
Oh wow!
Yes,
technology.
I can.
Yes, Micah Richards. That was it. Ben Amos. Wow. What a team.
Claire.
I'd only say the one player that's managed to maintain it in the Premier League is Theo Walcott.
Dean Parrott. Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Theo Walcott. He's still doing it till this day.
Yeah,
He
true.
3-0 Walcott.
3-0 Walcott. Yeah. Ben Amos never played for England. Hutchinson never played. Mika was all right. Hoyt, no. Never heard of Threlfall. Dean Parrott.
He was the most irritating player on any FIFA career mode. He's always been like 52 rating and never wanted to leave.
James
I saw him play actually.
Jose Baxter.
You know what?
We're
missing the best bit. Yeah, no, he's managed to cut it up there in Scotland where there's no competition whatsoever.
Yeah.
But,
Sinclair went to City, didn't he? He went to City and then Sunderland.
Yeah, couldn't hack it.
Yeah, he couldn't hack it.
I just wanted to point out that Dan is pretty much everyone in this lockdown in playing Football Manager. You can all see that tab.
You know what, right?
2020.
I wasn't gonna point out his tabs, but
I need to let's get rid of these annotations. Football Manager is free to play now.
What?
Oh, really?
Because of coronavirus.
Yeah. So have a look at this.
Serious?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on it. I'm on it tonight. I'm on it tonight. That's mad.
That's good of them, isn't it? See, the thing is with the coronavirus, it's infecting. It's affecting everyone. nearly infecting everyone. It's affecting everyone, and it has brought out some of the worst in humanity. Fighting over toilet rolls, all this, but it has also brought out some of the best in humanity. You see people helping each other, companies looking out for each other. It's really nice. You do, in times of crisis, it does really illuminate both sides of humanity, but more importantly, the better side that we can show.
I think probably on that note as well, I've probably said the best thing I've actually read, obviously, a thing about the good in humanity is people should be going out there and checking on their elderly neighbours that have been told to isolate for 12 weeks.
That's not it's just we've got to leave them alone, Levi. Don't go near them.
But no, I mean, like that's a really, really good thing.
Yeah.
I knocked on my neighbour's door and asked her if she needed anything from Asda when I was going on my shop. So I don't know. Obviously, we don't have massive viewers.
Whatever you're selling, I don't want it.
But yeah, that's probably one of the feel good thing that you probably can do during this outbreak. Check on the people around you, check on your neighbours, and see if there's anything you can do to like help them.
Yeah, I actually have a note here that was posted through our door this week. I'm just going to read it out, see what it says. I'll blank out some of the names. Hello, I listened to your podcast and it's absolute shit. No, that's a different note. No, all right. It says, hello, my name is blank and I live on blank street. I've started a Facebook group called Blank Street Community to help anyone who is self-isolating for whatever reason to get help with errands or food. Please feel free to join or offer or ask for any help if you need it. Just stay updated. Thanks, blank.
That's nice.
But yeah, I think there's this community aspect is huge, and I think I think people want to belong to a certain community, and particularly in London where we live, I think it's not really widely accepted to be communal and to look out for one another. There's very much this, push on alone or with your little pack kind of mentality here. But I think it's really nice that something like this can maybe open up some of those doors and open up sort of lines between communities to actually, interact with each other and look out for each other like it used to be.
Yeah.
Back way before.
I'll soon be challenging everyone to the toilet roll kick-ups.
Yeah.
So we could do a bit of our BTF lockdown check-ins. I think that's what we should call it. And just to see what we're all up to in our self-isolation chambers. That's what I'm calling them. It's not home anymore. It's a self-isolation chamber.
Like in the Simpsons when Bart had to be in that little Zorb thing because he had a deadly virus. Do you remember that episode? One of the many that the Simpsons have kind of predicted the future.
Yeah, I remember it when he's in that little the bubble.
Yeah, the bubble. Yeah,
the dome.
No, the Simpsons did.
Well,
the Simpsons predicted something called the Osaka flu, which they said it was from Japan, and that it would spread through they've done a little skit in the show where it spread through someone sending a parcel and it went to the US. But similarly, viruses,
someone sneezes,
the virus, the virus has been spread through an airborne capacity and has spread to countries like the US, the UK. So I don't want to talk about this conspiracy. Greg, you're the conspiracist amongst us. What's your conspiracy on The Simpsons?
I think that, I think that it's a case of if you throw enough shit at the wall, some of it will stick. Simpsons has been running. Simpsons has been running for about 20,000 years, and they've said a lot of things, and a handful of them have become close to reality. So people like to think that.
But the mad one is the Ebola one.
That is one of the rare instances of conspiracy theory that I don't actually subscribe to. The Simpsons predicts in the future.
Even not the Ebola crisis one, where it's the front cover of a book and they put it in there, and it's the Ebola crisis.
The Ebola virus was first discovered on the river Ebola. That's why it's called Ebola virus in 1971. So it's not a new thing, Ebola.
All right.
I don't
All right,
believe
Greg.
What about, did they predict that Donald Trump would be president?
Yeah.
That didn't happen. That was after So that Simpsons episode came out after Trump was on the escalator. People just think that it happened before because.
I'm convinced that was before.
No. As far as I know, I've not really researched it a lot, but as far as I know,
I'm going to disagree with that one.
Debunking theory.
BTF 37, then maybe a Simpsons special. Greg.
Oh yes, please. I love The Simpsons.
I can look into that down because I've now got plenty of time on my hands from the bunker.
Disney, just for out there, Disney Plus obviously will be launching, and it's got all 30 series of The Simpsons on there.
I might
all 30.
I'll be getting on that.
Has it?
What's the monthly cost? Monthly cost?
Well, they've got a pre-order special for £50 a year.
That's not bad at all.
It's about £4 a month, $4.15 a month.
That's really good.
Quick math.
That's decent.
Very good.
Decent.
Quick math.
Very decent.
It's only because I've got I typed it in once on Google, and now I'm getting adverts all over YouTube, Instagram, Twitter for it. So I've got that ingrained in my brain, and Disney have won because I probably will buy it.
Lovely. Right. I think what we'll do is we'll bring to a close BTF 36 now. If you have joined us for this episode, obviously thank you, and bear with us with some of the technical sort of things that we're going to be ironing out over the next couple of episodes. But I think it's nice that we can do this and that we can still kind of have some social time together here, even just for selfish reasons, just us for having a chat. If you'd like to maybe even join us, we'd love to have some listeners join in on our Zoom conversation here, as long as you download
Definitely.
Zoom and get used to using it. We have no reservations for having people join us here on the show going forward. Boys, obviously stay safe as ever. Do wash your hands. And we'll see you hopefully for BTF 37. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
See ya.